Three, two, one, go.
Hey, hello everybody. This is Chris Stringer.
And this is Harold Sullivan. This is the Sullivan Project podcast. What's up, Chris?
Not much.
Hey, trials and tribulations, right? Like I was telling you earlier, I can't even get a ride with UPMC. I put in the thing a week ahead of time, and I've almost quit. Almost 2 years I quit riding with them because they say they can't find you a ride, or they cancel several times. I even changed the times around, and now I don't know if I got a ride for tomorrow. And I've been trying to meet up with Dan in person for almost a couple of years now again, and he hasn't been able to find a ride down here, quote unquote. And he's like 2.7 miles up the road, literally. Like I could get there in a wheelchair if I wasn't blind, right? I'm not saying judging or saying anything, like, you know, but back a couple of years ago, right after I lost my sight, he was like, "You live right down the road. I could literally walk there." And he could, but I said I'll try to get a ride and I'll come up and see him. And then lo and behold, the buses give me trouble. But I'll postpone it, even if I have to pay and ride with a different company. I'll get there, and you know what I mean. What are you gonna do? There's no such thing as time, anyways, right? So it'll happen. I just gotta wait and wait for it to happen, right? Oh, computer. Uh,
I didn't understand
of
that.
course
To
not.
learn how I can help,
Cortana, stop.
what can you do?
Wow. See, I ain't even talking to the computer. Hey Google, what time is it?
It's 6:36 p.m.
Okay, so all right. Uh, Oh yeah, I tried to check out that new Evil Dead today, Evil Dead Rise, or what it's called, Evil Dead Rise. I couldn't do it. Uh,
No.
it's on demand. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't.
See, I don't get on demand either.
Oh, you got it. Well, I get it. It's free, but I just couldn't check it out. I just couldn't get into it. It was like 5 minutes into it, I had to turn it off. And in case people don't know, I just became blind 2 years ago. But I've been in a wheelchair since I was a child, an autoimmune disease and other problems. But yeah, you know what I didn't like right away, and I mean maybe I'm being picky, but you just can't have the movie starting off with action. You know what I mean? Evil Dead. It was like bam, right away. Somebody's like, there's all kinds of stuff going on, and yeah, that's just not the Evil Dead. The Evil Dead is slow, right? It's dreary. You don't know what's going to happen. It's spooky. It leads up to stuff. This movie, like right away, somebody's getting possessed and killing people, and it's like right in the first 2 minutes, literally, from what I could hear and understand. So I said, no, I can't do it. It's too much. It's what Hollywood does now with movies. You know what I mean? It's not the '80s Evil Dead or the '70s Evil Dead. It's not even the last Evil Dead, the remake one. It's like bam, right into somebody getting killed and possession and all that, and then you go on from there. So I said, no, I can't do it. And I got some kind of bug, cause cicada or locust or something in my room for the last 4 or 5 days. It sounds like a rattlesnake. You ever hear them bugs? And I don't know where it is, but I can hear
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
It's like it's driving me nuts because it sounds like a rattlesnake. Uh, oh, I want to tell you, I finished that Brian Trottier audiobook. It's called All Roads Home. And I didn't even know that he was part Native American. Did you?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. And it's cool because he talks about being on the farm and milking cows and doing all the chores up in Canada and just living the life. You know what I mean? Back then, I see if I wasn't disabled and all that, I could do that. I could be out in the country just living on the land with the animals and just peaceful. Does that sound nice to you without the city and all the pollution and all the people banging into you and the sickness? Like, doesn't nature just being out there sound like peaceful and comforting to you? Living on the farm,
Yeah.
and that's what,
Really?
yeah, it does, right? And
Yeah.
that's what he did. And I didn't realize he won like 7 cups. He won four with the Islanders, two with the Penguins, and I think he was an assistant uh, for Colorado or one of the teams after that. He won a cup. So I mean, talk about one of the greatest players, and realize who he played with, right? He played with Mike Bossy, and he played with what was that dude's name? LaFontaine, and then he played with Lemieux and all those guys. I mean, Jesus. He played with a few Hall of Fame, so many Hall of Fame players. But Trotchi, yeah, he was a really good player, and it was a really good book. And I want to tell you that I finished that up. And what else here? I had a couple of games. Oh, a trailer here. Let me get your ideas on what you would. Oh, first, let me tell people, hey, if you want to be on the show or you want to leave any messages for Chris and I, or Dan, Danny, Greg, anybody else, if you want to leave comments or you want to be on, the Sullivan Project podcast is on YouTube, Harold Sullivan 78, uh, TikTok, Harold Sullivan 78, and then we have Facebook, Harold Sullivan period 35, and then you can call the show 724-513-1472, and everyone has a story. You can't judge a book by its cover, and we all need somebody sometime, just like that song "Lean on Me," you know. And even if you just need to talk to someone for a second, you know, or just need to vent, call the show, hit us up. We're all people. We don't. There's no judge here. You know, love is a hate, or love is a choice, and so is the hate. No judgment. I came up with this the other day recently. I'm not. I'm not the judge, just a messenger. You know, and that's true. Like I was mentioning to Chris, I'm gonna try to get out here to church on Saturday. I've been there in a while, but I want to go give my testimony, 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm gonna try to video it. See if Dan can tape it and put it up online, just so I can get up there and by the grace of God, just spread some joy. You know what I mean? And talk to some people and let them know, hey, we're all Christian. Well, I don't know how certain people. You can go to different churches. You don't have to be this, this, and this. But I'm a Christian. That's how I identify. And I want to help people be the best Christian they can be. You know. So oh yeah. So the trailer. I got an idea. So imagine this. New Friday, because we're gonna have new movies eventually coming out. Friday the 13th, Halloween, and all that. So how about for a Friday the 13th trailer? I've had a couple ideas in the last few years, but something like movie trailers are horrible now, you know. So, what would you think of, say for instance, this would be like a period piece, it had to be 80s, you know, Friday the 13th in the 80s again. And I had the idea of something like a wishing well, right? I don't know if, has there ever been a whale in any of your Friday the 13th movies? Do you remember? A wishing
Not that
well?
I
No?
recall.
No, but in the 80s there were whales, right? So that would fit kind of. Because I was thinking, you know, you got a whale out there, a wishing whale, and you got a girl or a guy, could be whoever, or however they want to identify anybody now. You know, you can. In the 80s, though, it would have been. See, this is things I'm having problems with now. I mean, it's not really a problem, but like shows like Quantum Leap, there was an Old West show, right? And they had a transgender back in the Old West. And there's other shows now, uh, Supernatural, the prequel shows in the 70s, and I believe they had a homosexual man on there, and he was like out, and that at that time that wasn't accurate, and same with the Wild West. So I understand times are different now, right? But in the Wild West, there was no such thing, and they couldn't even do that surgery back in the 1800s. So, but there was actually recently a character like that. Uh, so it didn't fit. It didn't fit with the time, you know. But anyway, go back to the 80s. So say you have this person, maybe they throw something in the well or whatever, they hear a sound bang, right? So, all right, so it's already spooky, right?
6:43
Wow, now my
p.m.
phone is.
Swipe up to unlock.
Amen for technology. The phone it ain't touched.
66%.
I didn't even touch it, the other phone. But so okay, so you it's spooky, right? Dark, whatever. Maybe you get the moon and then the fog. You know how all the Friday the 13th, right? You got the moon. It's dark. Uh, so we got exterior dark, shot of the moon overhead with the clouds or the fog moving in front of it, and then you got the person throwing something in the whale, and then they hear a sound. They start pulling up the whale, right, cranking it up, and then okay, now here's where you come with the moment. Now, what's in the whale? What's in the bucket? So it could be a couple of different things. The first thing could be Jason's mom's head, right? Or it could
Yeah.
be machete, Jason, his machete, because I'm thinking, or a mask, right? Jason's mask. The first thing I thought it was Jason's mask, just in the way, or maybe it's on the head and it's in the. So when the person tosses something down, it hits the the mask, right? So then the whale comes up and you crank it up, and then they find that and they back up. That's it. And then someone turns around, boom, with the mask on. Kind of like an old homage to Part Six, where Jason turns around with the mask on, but you're not seeing exactly who. You're just seeing the mask and maybe an eye or so that was. But you could go lots of different ways with that trailer there. It could be just his head, mom's head. It could be just a machete that's in there, and then someone picks up the machete and the person is whacked. Because you don't really want to show 100% who the killer is, or who it is. You just want it. Okay, so I thought that was a pretty cool idea for something they do. You know what I mean? Doesn't that sound cool? Like if that was a trailer, that would get you psyched up, wouldn't it? If that was like a 15, 20-second trailer online for Friday the 13th, that would get you. Why can't do that? What do you what would you like to see in the next Friday? Anything, a certain kill, or what would you the next Friday the 13th? What would you want to see in the movie? Jason's mom back again? It could be anything. A certain kill, a certain person playing. You want Kane Hodder back, right? Or would you have somebody else be the killer? Like, what would you have any ideas? If you could do Friday the 13th, the next one coming out, what would you put? Anything specific, or would you just let them just do whatever they want to come up with?
I don't know. There's been so many of them, you kind of run out of ideas.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Every little thing in that kind of sounds like something similar, but it has to be, because it has to be what Jason would do. So, but we're saying we're remaking it. It doesn't have to be completely original, but what would you want to see? Would you want his mom to come back again and redo that whole, or would you like to? You want Kane back as Jason? Would you rather have somebody else be Jason?
Kane beats Jason.
Yeah. What would you want to see the show? Like, how would you want it to start? Would you want it to be like the old school ones where you really don't see much of it, or you just want Kane out there just ripping arms off, punching people's heads, like, or do you want? Would you rather go back to the original, character development, and then people getting killed here and there, and then you find the bodies. Jason would leave body parts, just to scare people, or someone hanging upside down. What happened to that kind of stuff? How would you want it to? What would you think?
Like I said, I really don't know. I'm just trying to. I'd have to try to throw something together.
You just like whatever they come up with, and see. You
Yeah,
just know
whatever
if
they
it's
come
good or
up with.
bad.
I mean, how can they come up with so many? But they made what, 12 movies already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Freddy versus Jason in the remake, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll
Plus
just.
the first 10, you know. Now, Jason, when he was a robot like outer space,
Yeah.
something that was pretty creative.
That was the only really one that was really different. People didn't even like that one. But I thought I like it, but I like part 9 too. So, and I like part 5 as well. Even though it wasn't Jason. I mean, but I understand the original ideas, like what you said. It was
Part
different.
5 was okay. Roy did a pretty good job at the end of Jason.
Oh, I love the whole things. I love the family with the guy on the motorcycle, and she's calling him all them names and eat your slops. That lady's hilarious. She's been in movies. I don't know her name. Do you?
Yes, you big dodo, eat your fucking slop.
Yeah. I met that director, Danny Steinberg, something.
Did you meet him?
Yeah, one of the. Oh, I don't know if I told you. Yeah, I met him at a convention. At one of the ones Friday the 13th.
Danny Steinman.
Yeah, convention. Yeah, Kane was there, and Adrian King and Betsy Palmer, and I had took a couple of my scripts that I wrote, my fan scripts there, so I actually let him read Camp Blood that I had written. It was part of a trilogy that involved Tommy Jarvis coming back one more time, because I just didn't like the way that ended. I didn't think that Tommy would just let that go. He changed Jason to the bottom of the lake and just leaves it alone. I just didn't see. I used to get into the characters. There's no sense of writing it unless you're going to write it good, right? So I wanted to write what I would want to see, or what I know they really wouldn't do, but it'd be cool for a fan. So I figured Camp Blood was parts, whatever it was going to be. It was after Freddy versus Jason. So and Tommy, he's not going to give up. Like, he's going to make sure Jason is dead. He wouldn't go through all that, chain him to the lake, and then oh well, forget it. And plus, what was Tommy going through all those years? I loved how him and Rorschach dug him up, and he's like, "Oh, this is a bad idea." He's like, "Can't we just leave?" He's like, "Okay, he's there." He's like, "You saw him." Like, "Let's go." But Tommy had to freaking kill him, even though he was already dead. And Tommy really brought Jason back with the Frankenstein. I like that whole deal too. He brought him back like Frankenstein with the lightning. He dug him up to make sure he was dead, but he resurrected him. So, but my whole idea was okay. So Tommy and Megan are living together, right? They're married or whatever. Remember Megan from part six? So
Yeah.
it's continuing the whole thing on, and I let him read the script, and he said it was good, and he's like, "Did you take writing classes?" He actually asked me that, and I said no, but I read scripts online, so I got the basic idea, and I know movies. I know how to write, the angles and the music and the background and lighting and I know how to do the dialogue. I mean, I can see when I had sight, and now I can think in the camera angles. But if you know movies, you can picture movie angles, and you can just write it that way. So he complimented me. He's like, "That was a good story," my idea was it was a movie was going to be made called Camp Blood at Crystal Lake, and so it was going to be a movie set up there. And so Tommy finds out on TV because he sees a commercial of them filming. So when he sees this, it's like, oh, he gets in his truck and he takes off to Crystal Lake. He has to go to make sure. You know what I mean? And how else would he find out? So it just has to make sense. So he sees on Entertainment Tonight or whatever on TV that hey, they're doing a Crystal Lake camp. Crystal Lake is we're going there to shoot the Legend of Jason Voorhees live from the place where it supposedly happened. And so that starts the movie off. Tommy leaves Megan to go searching for Jason and ends up at Crystal Lake. And then in the meantime, you have actors and actresses playing people who like playing Jason's mom, but they're like the actors playing Jason's mom, playing the actors playing Jason's mom, because they're doing a movie set. So you have these people getting killed, and then you have the fake Jason, which I had Ken Kersinger playing him, because I thought it'd be a neat little to have Kane playing the real Jason, right? And then Ken, so you can have the kill scene where Kane kills Ken, right? Because right, because Ken taking Freddy versus Jason, and I just thought it would be cool to do that. And then I had this whole scene where they were outside, right, and they were doing this like signing and this book signing because uh, it was going to be the book writer. It was going to be made off of a book, a person who wrote a book about Jason, like the Legend of Jason or something. And so there was like this big meeting or this big like party out, big out thing for the fans and the director and that Sean Cunningham was going to play himself and stuff. And so that song "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor."
Yeah, that's
It,
a good song.
yeah, it was real popular, and then it was in a few horror movies at that time, but I didn't know. But
That's a drowning pool.
yeah, they did two versions of that, or two versions because the original guy died. My nephew told me that, and I didn't know. But so there was gonna be this big set piece, right, where let the bodies hit the floor, and it was playing over these speakers, right, and they're introduced, they're talking or whatever. Sean Cunningham was talking about the movie coming, that they're doing the movie, and then Jason walks out, but it's the real Jason, and it's Kane looking around, you know what I mean, kind of like in Jason X, or even in Freddy versus Jason at the rave when he just starts whacking people. So it's just Kane going nuts, and people are trying. They're not trying to get away because they think it's Jason, like he's an actor, and he's butchering up people. And then I thought it was cool. And I actually had in my story I had the lady who played
Which one?
it is, isn't it, Princess Leia from the original Star Wars. Uh, at that time, I thought she kind of would look like a good to play Jason's mom. What was her name? Carrie Fisher. I thought it'd be neat to have her play a mother who went crazy. So she was gonna be playing Mrs. Voorhees' character in the movie that they were shooting. So it was gonna be like Carrie Fisher playing, Mrs. Voorhees. Hey Google, what time is it?
It's 6:54 p.m.
Hey Google, what did I want you to remember?
Here's what you told me. First, Divergent Chariot's trachea named that to Friday trailer.
Hey Google,
Second,
stop. Okay, so Chariots of the Gods is another book I just finished listening to. Again, you don't believe in aliens and that, really, do you?
Not really,
Or
no.
ghosts or none of that? Yeah, most people don't. But it's about the Bible and stuff, and it talks about how uh, UFOs are in the Bible and stuff, and how the aliens came down. And but we call them angels. See, there's different words: angels, aliens. Uh, Came down and taught man or made man smart or whatever. But and I mean, they mentioned dragons in the Bible. They mentioned unicorns. They mentioned ghosts, spirits. They mentioned giants, which giants were supposedly the half breed of the angels and the humans. I don't know if you ever heard the story about how the angels came down and they weren't supposed to mix with man, but they did. And then they actually say, and there's lots of times where they mention a whirlwind or a cloud, or God spoke to people through a cloud, or just different things, and it almost sounds like a UFO. Because how would they explain it thousands of years ago, except for a round circle of wind or Ezekiel? Have you ever heard of Ezekiel? He's in the Bible. He's the main character, Ezekiel. There's a thing called Ezekiel's wheel where he describes in the Bible, and it's still in there. It's one of the parts that's not edited, but he describes being taken up into a wheel that has wheels inside it and they spin and it's like circles. It's like, okay, well, what was he flying in? But it's like the Bible's up to some of it's not literally or not meant to be taken literal, and some of it is. So, like dragons, what were they trying to say is a dragon or a unicorn or this and that? So, but they do mention that. And there's a documentary for people that want to check it out on TV. There's a movie, but I went through the book twice just to because this man, and there's a show called Ancient Aliens on TV and stuff. Have you heard of that? And it's basically a whole thing based back on this book that was written in the '60s of this man who believes that that the aliens came down and helped us out, and we're part of this. They've been guiding us and helping us all these years and things. So it's like the X Files type thing, and there's lots of people that believe in that. So. Oh, one more thing before we go. It's kind of funny. I don't know if I can do it. I'm a little sweaty. Remember whenever, let me tell people, be the light, love the choice, and sows the hate before we go. And we'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel. and
Yeah, don't judge a book by its cover.
yeah, you doing good? Are you all good? We got to make sure you're good. You get out anything before we go, because when we come on this podcast, if we've been through stuff during the week or whatever it's been since we did one, this is the time to get it out. If you're hurting, how's your mom? You went to the hospital. She went to the. Is she doing good with her leg and that?
Yeah, they said it could be 6 months before it heals up.
Okay, she has a blood clot, but she's doing something, so she's taking care of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but you're good on your stress. She's good, and God got her, right? God got you. We gotta take care of each other, right? Are you good?
Yeah.
You feel good? Okay.
Yeah,
And
I feel
you can
fine.
call me anytime you need to. Like you said, I can call you if I break down at midnight, right? I'll call Chris, because you can save me. You know what I mean? God helps through. God speaks through people, and Spirit does. And He might not come right back down here, bang, but He could help me through you. So, but let me say this here. Yeah, remember you used to do farts, right? Fart sounds with your arm when we were kids.
Yeah, I can't do them no more now.
Because you got older, right? Here, listen to this. See, I can do that with my shoulder. I figured that out years later. It's just the top of my shoulder, right? And I used to mess with people my whole life, and then I used to play music with it and stuff. And I remember Chris was the one doing that, man. And I got a Three Stooges book too now. It's 19 hours about the Three Stooges. So when I get done with that, because that was your favorite too, and you got me into them, I'll let you know about the whole history of the Three Stooges. We can talk about that, because I'm sure you know a lot about them, right? Three
Yeah.
Stooges. So that it's 19 hours I got. It's called the Three Stooges Scrapbook, the best history of the Three Stooges. But yeah, I used to do the fart sound, right? So I used to do music. So let's play Name That Toot. Let me do a couple songs, see if you can guess them, all right? And then we're gonna hang up here. Yeah, we gotta add some comedy, right? Maybe I can get on America's Got Talent. Hold on, the cuckoo clock's going off upstairs, but they probably can't hear it. But let me do this Name That Toot. Can you hear this sound, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my arm. Like, between your neck and your shoulder, there's a little. That's my arm doing that up above. It ain't my
Yeah,
arm.
I can't do it no more.
Nobody I know in the world could do the shoulder but me, up above. So, okay, so let's do this and see if you can name that tune, right? Whenever you get it done, whenever you can name it, just name it, ready? Could you get it?
Yeah.
I'm a
Totally
little,
slipped my mind.
I'm a little out of because I'm hot. The Adams Family. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da.
No, I can't. It's
Okay. Well, you can get the beat though. Sometimes I can do it real good. Let's see what else here we can do. Uh, okay. How about this one?
I
How about we do Christmas song? All right. Gotta pick a category.
can't believe you could still do that.
Huh? It's my shoulder though. Did you get that song? Jingle bells.
Jingle bells. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's amazing.